the movie that is about the making of The Room.
The
And
Disaster
that's
Artist.
The Disaster Artist. Yes, exactly.
I
In
have
keeping with
seen neither.
friend of the podcast, Stephen McCandless, has often said that this is a very Paul Goody thing. I did not see the thing, but I saw the thing based on the thing. That sort of deal.
And therefore, I know what the thing is.
Now, Ben, I'm going to tell you something. I am on a diet, uh, and Jennifer has mentioned this, that whenever I get on a diet, I go full bore, and it's been causing me problems, I think. The diet that I am on is one where I do not um, eat red meat. I
Healthy.
do not eat anything that has what do you call those fats? Not trans fats.
Saturated fats?
Saturated fats. No saturated fats, and no sugary drinks. Those are
That's a,
basically the three things that I'm avoiding.
the sugary drinks thing, so though sounds like a big thing for you.
It is, and I've lost like I don't know 12 pounds already since I started doing that. Um, but I also find it difficult to concentrate, find the words that I need, so on and so forth. So
Are
it's
you
just going
getting
to be a
enough?
fun podcast.
You getting enough protein?
Well, I'm eating yogurt and I'm eating shrimp. So that's,
Shrimp is
two
good.
sources of protein. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I do is I get those little cocktail shrimps and I eat an entire bag of them in a bowl of rice
Is this
and
diet
tomato sauce.
specifically to lose weight, or are there other like health benefits that you've
No, this is
been
to lower
like
my cholesterol.
prescribed to lower your cholesterol? Okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
doctor's orders then.
exactly. I mean, it's been all right. There's a lot of stuff that I can, I'm not trying to eat a lot of sugar, not just sugar,
Right.
because that's the thing. No sugary drinks, okay. And then you think about all the other stuff that has a lot of sugar in it. So I occasionally will eat a cold fruit bar.
Yeah.
It's the one sort of fat-free ice cream-esque dessert that I can have.
I mean,
Been eating Melba toast.
fruit still has sugar in it, but it's not like the unhealthy kind of sugar. Like you want to stay away
Yeah,
from like what is it? Processed sugar? Is that what they?
yeah,
What's the name
that's
for
what
it?
they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Stuff that's like in candy bars and cookies and stuff.
exactly. Which are all things that that would be my main diet.
Candy bars and
No
cookies.
cookies mostly. I would, man, if I had a jar full of cookies, I would eat those cookies before I eat anything else for sure. Instead, I've been eating, let's see. Here's what I
Well,
ate today.
cookies taste better when you're
Uh,
hungry.
oh yeah, but they taste good no matter what, usually. My closest thing to cookies now I have are graham crackers, which are
Yeah.
kind of cookies,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah. Crackers.
Um, but so let's see. This morning I had uh, chewable vitamins, like sort of gummy
Like
vitamins.
multivitamin for
But
men kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. Bananas, or a banana
A
rather.
banana.
Um,
One banana unit.
and I think maybe that was it for kind of breakfast time. I might have had something else like a graham cracker or whatever. Um, then for lunch, I had a thing of. Are you familiar with Siggi's? Siggis, I believe. It's
No.
a type of yogurt. It's skyr, Skyr, I guess. Um,
Is
high
that
in protein, low in fat
is that
is
like a
the big
Greek
thing.
yogurt kind of thing? I don't know
It's an
from yogurt,
Icelandic
so
yogurt.
okay.
Icelandic.
What
Greek
is that?
yogurt, lots of fat.
Oh.
Um, but so yeah, zero trans fats in that skyr. The kind that I get is the vanilla, zero trans fat. So I stir it up and I eat it, and if you squint your eyes enough, it's sort of like a weird pudding.
It's like a pudding. Yeah, it's like a light pudding.
Yeah. So a white,
A,
a milky white pudding.
a milky what? Yum.
Yeah. Oh God. No thanks, Mr. Vetter. I know where that's been. So the big thing is that then I had a large carrot and a date. You're familiar with dates,
I don't
the
like them,
sweet
but I know
kind
what
of.
they are. Yes.
So if you have a carrot and a date and you eat them both at the same time, it tastes kind of like carrot cake. Not exactly, but enough where you're like, I'm doing something. I'm doing something.
I just gotta
Which
believe. I gotta believe I'm eating something tasty
and
and
I've
sweet.
solved a problem. Have I told you about my coffee problem?
Uh, what is your coffee?
I have
Vaguely. I
a
kind of
couple
remember
of
this.
coffee problems. There's the I like the coffee that tastes like candy, so I put way too much, additives in it.
Okay.
And the other part is that I wake I wake everybody in the house up when I make it because I get up before everybody else, make the coffee, dog starts barking,
How
all of that.
loud is your coffee maker? I mean, what?
Well, I have my grinder for the beans,
Okay.
and then I have to put the boiling water on, and then I put it in the French press and all that. Um,
The
so
grinder sounds like the problem. I mean, and that's
yeah,
something you can solve by grinding the beans the night beforehand.
well, you've hit upon my secret. I like coffee best when it's cold in the cup. Like after I've let it sitting out for a while
That is
and
when
it's
coffee is at
cold.
its worst. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
it's my favorite though. So what I've been doing now is I make the coffee and I put it in a little tiny mason jar. And I put that mason jar in the refrigerator, and then when I get up in the morning, I have the coffee and I just drink it out of the mason jar.
All right. Well, that's like iced coffee. That's not like
Yeah,
tepid
exactly.
coffee. All right.
Well,
All
that's the
right.
thing is I like it when it's you know tepid in the cup. It's even better when it's actually cold. But this is the thing is that I can drink the cold coffee black, which I normally don't drink black coffee. I don't like
Yeah.
the hot black coffee, but I like the cold black coffee.
Whereas hot black coffee is the name of my band. No, it's actually what I prefer in the morning. And
Yeah.
I just found out that the brand of coffee that I normally buy, which is a 1 pound bag of Seattle's Best coffee,
Mm.
dark roast. Now, there's a whole thing behind this. Like, Seattle's Best was, I think they were originally called Stewart Brothers and then changed their name to Seattle's Best. A rumor I heard is so they wouldn't have to change the logo. And then they were bought by Starbucks. That didn't really get under my skin because Starbucks is kind of everywhere around here. It's part of the Northwest. I don't mind it. People like Starbucks
Yeah.
sucks, but whatever. If I'm in like the middle of the Midwest and there's a Starbucks, I will go to the Starbucks because at least you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But I found out last week that Starbucks sold the Seattle's Best coffee brand to Nestle. And Nestle is a
No.
terrible company, so now I
Yes.
have to find a new brand of coffee for my home brew because I don't want to support Nestle in any way. So I'm on the hunt for a new coffee brand.
Isn't there a coffee shop that's kind of sci-fi based in Seattle? It's like Wayfarer Coffee or something to that effect.
I do not know.
I think so. If you look up Wayfarer Coffee, you might find it. They were
Wayfarer
really
coffee?
cool. I found them right before I left Seattle,
Yeah,
and if I had, oh no, did you mute yourself?
I did.
Hey, that was pretty cool.
I'm trying to be
If
conscientious about my
Yeah,
coughing.
Not me. Haha, cough cough. If I had stayed in Seattle, I would have gone there all the time because they were great.
Is it
They
where
had
is it? Are they retail only? Do they have a cafe? What's
I want to say okay, can I break the rules of the podcast and look it up really quick?
Sure. While you're doing
Okay.
that, I'll just say that I have been. The reason I found out that Seattle's Best was on my Nestle is because somebody posted it on the Seattle subreddit, and
Mm.
over half the comments were like, "Seattle's Best coffee sucks anyway," and so I don't agree with that, but I've been. But there were a bunch of other like locally roasted organic coffees that people were recommending, and I've tried some of them, and it just doesn't appeal to me. This coffee.
Huh. So the big thing I would say is that um I haven't been in Seattle in a really long time and
Almost
things
10 years,
close all the
Paul
time.
Goody.
Yeah, so it is possible that hey, does Cafe Ladro sell
Oh yeah.
their coffee?
Do they sell
Does
their
Cafe
coffee?
Ladro still have their apple pies?
I don't know, but I walk past the Cafe Ladro in the 801 tower almost every day. I remember you and I going in there
Yeah.
so you could get a piece of pie. I'll pop in one of
But
these
then again,
mornings and see if they
I
have their
can't
pie.
I can't have
Can't
their
have.
pie anymore. So hopefully they would do have it then.
So Wayfarer coffee. Is it Wayfair or Wayfarer?
Well, that's what I'm checking. So I'm looking up okay, gaming cafes in Seattle. Here we go. Let's find out.
Raygun Lounge.
Oh, I'm thinking of Distant Worlds. It's called Distant Worlds. I feel
I've
dumb
never
now.
heard of it.
Distant Worlds Coffee. Um so when you identify as a whether you identify as a geek, nerd, or cool kid, Ben, which are you?
Wow, there's so many. I can be and cannot be part of any of those. I would say I'm more of a nerd.
So Distant Worlds is still open. They have like Seattle Critters meetup, or they have a Star Trek meetup. They're queer and BIPOC friendly. They are on Roosevelt Way. Is that where they still are? 6401 Roosevelt Way,
Like
Northeast.
60 around 65th and Roosevelt. So yeah, I know where that
Yeah.
is.
And let's see. So they're not the same. I got them and Wayfair mixed up. Wayfair is a coffee place that sells their own coffee. This I will say this: their espresso. The reason that I thought that it was really cool is that do they still have it? They Housemaid John Boy Da Vinci. They used to have a coffee called the iocane powder coffee, which
Nice.
was with nothing in it, which I thought was clever. Um,
Yes. Because
so
as we all know,
so
iocane
anyway,
powder is odorless.
yes, what you do not smell is iocane powder. So the big thing is this: I told you last week that I stopped listening to unprepared casters. Yeah, part of it is financial. It's $15 a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but all my little expenses add up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, another thing to listen to, all that. And so I stopped.
Could you only listen if you were a Patreon supporter?
That's right. Well, no, that's not true. There are some things that you can only listen to if you're a Patreon supporter, but
Like
at
bonus
$15 a
content and
month,
stuff.
they said my name every month, and that was nice. And I was like, yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then I stopped, and then I found out that their arc 13 was tied to, and I'm not going to say what property it was tied to because they've already canceled their arc 13, but it was tied to a game that was put on by someone who had done a bad thing. The game was created by someone who took advantage of their position and did some things that were not nice. And that was the person who created the game that they're running. So imagine, if you will, that you're going to show a Woody Allen movie, and then people say, "Hey, here's the thing about him,"
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Sort
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
sort of the same deal. And so they scrapped their entire arc that they had already recorded. They were like, "Okay, we're not doing this." Um, and so I resubscribed at $2 uh,
To show your support at their
to show my support,
progressiveness.
right? And
Yeah.
and I do have to say, I am a little bit egotistical. I didn't want them to think that I canceled my subscription because they canceled the art,
Ha!
and I was like, ah.
It's just a
I
poor consequence of timing.
the same thing, Ben. Betty, Jennifer, and I patronized a store uh, because they were under fire for doing a gay pride thing, helping celebrate Pride Month. What store was it? Ben, gonna guess the news.
Oh God. Target.
No, it is one
uh,
that you would not necessarily expect. And the other thing is this: we patronize the store, but the store is not necessarily what they're known for.
is
We
this a
had we would have
national
had
chain?
another, yes, we would have had another option when we went to the location, but we opted to buy something from the store. I'm
Can I
going to do
ask what
this,
you
Ben.
bought?
Yeah, we're gonna do a new thing. This is a new segment as of June. What is it?
Today is June 15th.
18. We're gonna institute. I think we already have done this sort of, but we're gonna institute 20 questions rules. You
Oh.
can ask me questions about it, and I have to answer yes or no. Actually, I think we've done it this way before, but
So you could have bought this thing from a different location, but you chose this location because of their support for the LGBTQ community during Pride Month.
that is correct. Also, I could have done something different at the location, but I bought something from their store at that location instead.
So this isn't just a store. They don't just sell stuff. They do other things.
Yes.
Is it a restaurant?
Yes.
It is a national chain.
Yes.
So you bought something. You bought. I guess it doesn't matter what you bought. But did you buy? You
Yeah.
bought like coffee mug or piece of glassware.
I could have bought a coffee mug or a piece of glassware. I did not.
Is it? Has this store been in the news lately for their support of Pride?
They were in a news article, and that's how I learned about their getting under fire for it.
Was this article local to the Edwardsville adjacent
No,
store?
it was not. In fact, I'll say this: when I went to the Edwardsville adjacent store, I could not tell whether or not they would have necessarily supported their parent company, but I think they did, because the thing that the article was about was not present at the location that I went to. Or I will say the picture that accompanied the article
Yeah.
was not at the location I went to.
Is this a restaurant known for fast food?
No.
Is it a family-oriented kind of restaurant?
I would say yes.
So it's not. Does this restaurant also have like a gaming area, like a Dave and Buster's?
No.
Okay. Would you go to this place after church with grandma?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Does the parent company own other restaurants?
I don't know.
Or
I
is
don't
you mentioned the
know.
parent company, so is it like you're talking about like
Well, I said
it's a
parent.
franchise?
Oh,
It's a
I meant
franchise
it's
then.
right. The main what I meant by the parent company. I'm sorry. The franchise,
Yeah.
not that they're owned by a different company. The company that owns these
Right.
stores.
So did the thing you bought connected to Pride? Was it like a
Absolutely not. No,
no?
it
It
was
just had
not.
the logo of this restaurant on it.
It didn't even have a logo of the restaurant. It was something that they sold in the store area of their restaurant, but it was not. Um, it wasn't specific to that restaurant.
Does this restaurant have a location in Seattle?
I believe they do, but I can't say for sure. I'm almost positive they do.
What would you say is the like is this restaurant like American food or is it
Yes, absolutely 100% yes.
so hamburgers, french fries or steaks?
Um, you can get all of those things at this restaurant.
um
There are a couple of different types of American cooking. That's one thing I'll say.
are they known for a specific dish?
I would say yes.
Is the dish part of the
Oh, but
name of this restaurant?
no, it is not.
Well, you were going to say something.
What I was going to say is they're known for a couple of signature dishes,
Couple of signature dishes.
not just one. Yeah.
Is it a Denny's?
No,
Okay.
I know for sure that there's a Denny's in Seattle. You and I have gone there many times. I do not know if we've ever gone to this restaurant together in Seattle.
Well, there's an IHOP.
Yeah, it's not IHOP either. IHOP
yeah.
and Denny's. Here's what I would say. There's a spectrum of America, right? IHOP and Denny's kind of in the middle. This is further towards the America side of the spectrum.
Further towards the America side. Surely we've hit 20 questions by now.
Oh yeah. But I like it. I like it when you guess, Ben, because you're getting forever closer, even if you don't think so.
I don't know what this story is specifically, so I'm just trying to suss out an American restaurant that is not fast food, that is known for a couple of signature dishes. Do they have? Would you say that they have national commercials that are widely known?
Oh, I think so. I also know that you can definitely see billboards for this restaurant when you're traveling.
You can definitely see billboards for this restaurant when you're traveling.
I'll also say this: when you see a billboard for this restaurant, someone in the car might make a joke of some kind based on the name.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's not Dick's Drive-In.
No.
So it's the name. The name is the name a double entendre?
Okay. I'm going to say something very controversial. Okay. Depending on who you ask, the name of the restaurant could be considered to contain a slur, but it doesn't. Someone might claim that the name of the restaurant contains a slur, but it doesn't.
Oh my god. Now I have the worst restaurant names running through my head.
It's probably because you're thinking of actual slurs, Ben.
Yeah. Hooters? No, you wouldn't go to Hooters after church with grandma.
Also, if anyone listening does think that this is a slur, no, it really isn't. In my opinion, I will say, some robot might disagree.
Is it one word, one name, and the slur is contained within that word?
No, it is two. I'll tell you this: name of the restaurant, 2 words.
2 words.
Me wording you wording the floor.
I'm wording all over the floor right now.
Oh no!
I'm drawing a blank. I can't think
Quick break, Ben, for a second. What's your shirt say?
It says, "Rest is my resistance."
Huh.
It is a counter to the work culture, which states that you are only a valid person if you are productive and busy. And this means that you don't have to be productive and overworked to have value. It was a work thing.
Oh, can I tell you? Keep thinking, and maybe this will take your mind off of it. But I had another one of those nights where I couldn't think of. I couldn't sleep because I was thinking too much. And so instead of trying to sleep, I tried to meditate, and I fell asleep. So there's my new plan. All right, go ahead, Ben. Tell me what you know already. Tell me what you remember from what we've talked about.
It's a family restaurant known for Americana. It's 2 words. 1 word might be a slur.
But it isn't.
There might be one around Seattle. We've never been there.
There's definitely one near me. In fact, there are probably 5 near me.
So it's predominantly like a Midwestern.
Oh, it's definitely a Midwest thing for sure.
Cracker Barrel?
Boom, Ben. You got it. Cracker Barrel was under fire for doing a pro gay pride post saying everyone is welcome at our table. And I don't know. So is there a Cracker Barrel in Seattle, Ben?
I have no idea. There might be one on the outskirts. I don't remember seeing them.
They have these famous kind of chairs. They're rocking chairs that are out in front of their stores. You may not have seen them. But there was one of these rocking chairs, and the slats were painted in the flag.
Yeah, rainbow flag
colors, and people were mad at them for doing it. And
why
so we went to Cracker
that down
Barrel.
my throat?
Betty is on. Why do you keep shoving these things down my throat? Why do you keep lovingly holding me down on the floor? I ask you.
The language that those people use.
So the basic thing is that when we went there, Betty is on a new form of medication and she wasn't hungry. Jennifer and I were both starving, but she didn't want to go in and eat, so we just bought something from the store and we drove her home. And then she and I went out to Jersey Mike's, the sub place.
Yeah.
And I ate probably. So this is the thing, right? I'm avoiding all saturated fat, but Jennifer's like, well, you can have some. And the reason that I avoid all of it is so that when I do eat something that has it, I'm like saved up for the whole week, and it's fine. So I had their mushroom and Swiss, but I had provolone instead of Swiss sandwich. It was pretty good. But
I don't think I've ever been to a Jersey Mike's.
I don't. It might. I mean, I'm sure it's. Sure it's maybe there's one in Seattle. You know what they don't have here? Then Taco Time. No
Taco Time. Well, Taco Time's a Northwest restaurant.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Jennifer's family came through. Her dad and our stepmom Nancy.
On their way to relocating to the Tri-Cities?
Yep. And it turns out that they're moving to the house next door to the house that they used to have in the Tri-Cities.
What?
So we still know how to get there. And again, we'll see what comes of all of this. But and then the other thing is my car is no more. I sold it. And the good news is this: I couldn't find the title, so they found the title, and they got the title. They got the title for me, and they didn't take the amount for the title out of my check. They gave me the full check that they said they were going to.
What? That was awful nice.
And they sent me their license plate, my license plates, so I have them.
Speaking of car,
my house now has 2 sets of license plates from Jennifer's car and my car. I think I need to destroy them, but I'm not sure exactly how to do it.
People use that for art. So since we last spoke, like when you were talking about car troubles, I told you about recent car troubles that I had where I had to take my car in to get fixed, and it actually cost a lot of money. It was a very expensive repair. They also like did a bunch of other things, like replaced the serpentine belt and did an oil change and flushed the brake fluid, all regular like maintenance things. But on Sunday at the grocery store, my car started experiencing the same problem that that was alleged to have been fixed. So now tomorrow afternoon, I am taking my car back to where it was worked on, where it was fixed. Air quotes for fixed. It was actually worked on.
Yeah.
One assumes. And I'm going to have to be, they know I'm coming, but I'm going to have to be like a hard ass and be like, look, sure, the things you did to the car will make the car work better, but you didn't fix the problem. And so I don't want to pay for more repairs to fix this problem. I want you to, finish what you started. And, so it's just one of those things where like all week I've been rehearsing in my head how like different scenarios and how I'm going to like, because I hate being the problem customer. I don't like, I don't like being a pill or anything because I've worked in customer service. I know what it's like. And but it's just one of those things where it's like, this sucks. I'm spending too much money on this car. One of the reasons of which I bought was so I wouldn't have to spend so much money on repairs.
Right. I think it would be funny if they were like, okay, you're right. Now we are still going to have to charge you parts and labor for whatever it is that we end up fixing. But other than that. Oh, speaking about funny, I'm watching more of the Kids in the Hall.
The reboot.
And there, I finally hit on one that reminded me of us, which is my key for whether or not something's funny. Apparently, it was the apocalypse thing where Dave Foley is the DJ.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's wonderful. Yeah. And I haven't watched the entire part, but it bookends. Yeah,
because it's segmented throughout that episode.
Yeah, which is great. It gives you that feeling of time and all that. And I also liked the imaginary girlfriend thing. That was funny as well. But yeah, so I guess we should let the listener know we're doing another twofer where you and I are recording an episode, and we're going to split it into 2 pieces. And at this time, Ben, I'm going to say this. This is going to be Schrodinger's twofer. We're not going to know which half is which. Maybe this is the first one. Maybe this is the second one. I don't know. Ben is going to be editing, making the clip. And Ben, I don't know if there's a way for you to do this, but what I would love is if there's a way that you can randomize it so you don't know which clip. I know it's hard and you may not be able to. Maybe Ben is the only one that knows, but I'd love it if Ben also doesn't know which half is which. It would be wonderful.
I'll probably know. There's no real
Yeah.
way to. Yeah, there's no way to get
You'll
around
only you'll be the only one, Ben, until somebody
that.
listens to it. And Ben will be the only one who knows who didn't listen to the episode. And people often ask us, Paul, Ben, do you listen to the episodes? We listen to them once while
we
we're doing
record
it.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe even not then, depending on where I'm at mentally on it.
I'm
I
never
told you
really
already
present.
the trifecta that I've been diagnosed with. I mentioned that to you already.
The trifecta. Well, high cholesterol is not one of them.
Oh no. Mentally. The
Mentally.
mental thing.
Okay. No, I don't believe there was a trifecta involved.
So I got it. I got the report from the psychologist that I saw for my 50th birthday. That was my treat to myself, was a full-on diagnosis.
Right.
There was ADHD, which I had been diagnosed with before.
Right.
There is autism spectrum disorder, which, of course, that was long suspected but now confirmed. And the dark horse, the one I didn't know about, obsessive compulsive disorder.
Really?
But now, when you think about it, Ben, does it make sense?
That is the reason why we have the tagline "Keep it wrong," because Paul Goody once spent almost the entire hour trying to look something up.
I thought that I thought that was covered by autism spectrum disorder, but apparently, and maybe there's a comorbidity there, but a lot of, like, for example, did you know, Ben, that when I go to a store, I have to get 5 things?
You may have mentioned that at some point.
It's a common issue that I run into, and I don't necessarily. I can buy other things, but I can't buy 4 things. I can buy 3 things or 5 things. Can't buy 4 things. It's just a very odd sort of thing. If in my old house, in my parents' house, there's a step that I would always skip when I walked up it.
Yeah.
And it basically starts. This is the thing.
Do you have reasons for these things, like skipping a step or buying 5 things, other than just that's what feels right?
Superstition. Like, it'll be bad luck if I don't. That's sort of this is how it works. And I think I'm going to answer your question when I say this. So I'll be walking up the stairs, and I'll skip a step, and I'll be like, haha, I skipped that step. The next time I walk up the stairs, I'll go, hey, there's that step that I skipped, and I'll skip the step again. After I do it like 3 times or so, I have to. And now it's like, uh-oh, better skip that step.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, saying my prayers was a big thing. Like, if I didn't say my prayers before I went to bed, I would die, or my parents would die, or something. That I used to have consequences that were tied to it. If I didn't put my socks away, they would crawl into my bed and strangle me when I was asleep. Over the years, I've stopped worrying about some of that stuff, but there are still other things that kind of lurk around. Rituals. Rituals would be the way that I would put it, like things that I have to do.
Right.
And if you're around me for long enough, you'll know what they are. You'll be able to see them. But also, apparently, I have a hard time sitting still.
You don't say. So this OCD diagnosis did not surprise Jennifer in any way.
No. She was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's because I'm Monk, Ben. I solved the crimes.
My mother loves that show. So much so they named a dog after the main character.
There was there was a episode of Monk that made me stop watching it. And I think Tony Shalhoub probably wouldn't like it either. Um, there was a maid and she did something wrong, and she said to Monk that he was blaming her because Monk was a racist. And he said, "No, I'm blaming you because you're a thief." And it was like one of these things that um the idea that someone would cry racism when they were actually guilty is a standard kind of Law and Order, not Law and Order the TV show, because we're talking about Monk. I just want, oh well, criminals will always try
Yeah.
anything to get away from
So
the
did you
thing.
feel that it was just like lazy writing?
I thought it was lazy writing. I thought that it not only lazy writing, but I thought that it might have been somebody with an agenda putting that in there, saying that people who complain about racism are liars.
Ah,
Uh, and
yeah.
it didn't sit right with me, and so I stopped watching Monk. I just stopped watching Justified
Oh, really?
because this guy was cheating with his ex-wife against her ex-husband or her husband, the main character. And I was like, I get it, I understand, they've always loved each other and this is the thing, but no, not, I can't.
Conflicted romance, Paul. It's a staple of dramatic television.
I know, I'll probably go back to it. I like Graham Yost. He's doing Silo, which you may or may not
I've not
be
seen.
watching.
I've heard of it, but I just
It's
heard
good so
that they've
far.
been renewed for season 2 if the writer's strike ever ends.
Hey, cool. uh I there's a there's a TV show that I saw that I liked better than I thought I would, that I'm worried that Silo is following very closely. I don't know if it
Lost.
is or not. No, yeah, no. Um, it's called For All Mankind. No,
Hey, I like that show.
it was a TV show about people on a spaceship that was launched, like a long range spaceship that was launched during like the Kennedy administration,
Okay.
and it followed their
Sounds
kind
like a
of
plot from the
life.
60s. Is this a recent TV show?
It was a recent TV show, and there's a spoiler to it, but it might also be the spoiler for Silo, so I don't want to tell anybody about it.
What was the TV show then? Or you don't want to say?
Um, it had a name like For All Mankind. Let me see. 1960s
One small step.
spaceship.
1960s spaceship.
TV
Star Trek.
show. Um, and let's see. Spaceship TV show. Uh, um, uh,
This is part of the.
those
Keep
of
it
you who
wrong.
heard
We're
me
gonna
mutter
be.
this under my breath
We're gonna be.
are gonna know the Ascension.
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 Never heard
It's
of
called Ascension. It's a sci-fi channel, I think. Yeah, a spaceship powered by nuclear bombs, secretly launched in the 1960s, a colony ship on a 100-year journey to spread humanity to the stars. These are the central themes of the Sci-Fi Channel's epic Ascension miniseries. Um, U.S. scientists actually were working on building such a spaceship in the 1960s. It was called Ascension, and I'll just say I thought Ascension had some of the best writing I'd seen in a show.
it. Did it
its type.
conclude Ascension, the TV show?
Yeah, it concluded pretty well, I think.
The ship
It was a
blew up.
miniseries. Well, I don't remember exactly the ship level.
They
Here's the
went
thing. I
into an
remember
alternate dimension where people
I
on Earth
remember the
evolved into monkeys.
I remember the twist. I don't remember the end. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Um, do you want me? Is it okay if I spoil Ascension? Is it
Sure.
okay?
I don't care.
Hey, everybody! Spoilers for Ascension. Okay, so there's this thing about it that is very great because you don't understand that this is what's happening until way later.
Yeah.
At least I think you don't understand what's happening until way later. The ship never went to space. It's a experiment in
Okay.
long-term space travel.
Yeah.
And they've kept these people, they're in a warehouse in this ship, and they simulate all the things that are happening to them and observing them to see how it would work. And so at one point in time, and I forget whether or not you already know that that's the issue or whether or not it's creepy and weird. There's this stranger that's in this kid's room. This kid sees this stranger here,
Yeah.
and it's somebody from the experiment that has boarded the ship to
I'm here to fix
take
the
care
light
of
bulb.
like I think there's a murder that happens or something of that effect. Anyway, so that is my wonder about the silo is are we going to find
Ah,
out that the silo is actually, something of an
like a big,
experiment similar to
yeah,
that?
human experiment. Um,
Exactly.
I've been watching this old TV show, but it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams.
Oh yeah, Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams. Did you see the
I've seen
was
all
it
of
called
them.
The Hanging Man?
Kill
Yeah,
All Others.
Kill All Others, right.
The original
With
story, I believe, was called The Hanging
that's
Man.
that's what I was thinking of, yeah. Kill All
Yeah.
Others with you get your chance to vote for the candidate
Yeah.
to prove I mean it's wonderful, I think. Um
Yeah.
what was your favorite one out of that? Do you have one?
Um, I don't know if I have a favorite one. I think one of the ones that kind of got me the most was the one where the woman went into this virtual reality space and became Terrence Howard, and where she was like a super cop, a lesbian super cop in the future,
Mm.
and this her like dream vacation was Terrence Howard, who was like a down on his luck cop mourning the loss, or down on his luck billionaire mourning the loss of his wife. And like you start to wonder like which one is the actual reality and which one is the
Yeah.
dream state. And then at the very
I
end,
don't
of
think I've
course,
seen that one.
you
I
learn
need to I might need to look at that one.
it's
I
one of
stopped
them.
watching it after a while for some reason.
There was
I don't
like it is surprisingly star-studded. Like Steve Buscemi is in an episode. Bryan
Benedict Wong is in.
Cranston is it? Benedict Wong is in an episode. Yeah.
I
So
I
they got
really I really liked his the fact that they cast Benedict Wong in that role made that episode, in my opinion,
yeah
because he did such a good job of like being the guy that is sort of lovable but also,
a jerk.
a scoundrel. Yeah.
That was also one of the ones. These episodes, a lot of them, I guess it was about half and half, where there is a definite conclusion to the episode versus
Yeah.
they leave it sort of like up in the air. The Benedict Wong one is definitely a like, what actually did happen here? Like,
Yeah.
did they die on that planet? Are they in some sort of new other ethereal space? So yeah, but the one I also really liked the one with the high schooler. Did you see that where it's like a futuristic thing and she's got to have this dex to like futuristic dex to like get into school securely, and it's like also how she does her homework and everything. Her mom's like
Huh,
a reactionary.
I don't remember that. I'll have to check it out again. There might be like was there more than one season or was it just one season?
10 total episodes.
Yeah, I must have only watched up until a certain point and then stopped. Or
You know?
maybe they didn't release all 10 at once. That might have been what it was.
I have no idea what happened because it's like on Amazon Prime, there when you load up the TV show, it has an order of episodes, right? But on imdb.com, the order is listed differently. Like and so but it all has the same release date, so I have no idea what's going on. So, I watched them in the IMDb order. It doesn't matter because they're all it's like a Black Mirror, you know, they're all self-contained episodes.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Love, Death, and Robots also. Which I saw, the one, Ben, with the guy on the ship. With the thing on the ship. Did you see that one?
I have not seen it.
Oh, it's good. Love, Death, and Robots is really good. I'm a fan of animation. It's very nice.
Right.
To see.
This whole week, my routine has sort of been, I'll eat dinner, and then I'll watch 2 episodes of Electric Dreams, and then an episode of Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, which is on HBO. It's a CNN show, and they took it off HBO for a while because CNN spun up its own streaming service, but that flamed out spectacularly. So all these episodes are back on. Sorry, it's called Max now. HBO.
Here's the thing. I don't. A lot of people were mad that they called HBO Max. I don't mind HBO being, on Max.
Right.
That's fine. But I do like the explanation that they had, which
what was the explanation?
People don't know that we have stuff that isn't good. I mean, that's not the way that they said it, but when people hear HBO Max, they think that it's all going to be prestige programming, but we have a lot of reality TV stuff, and yeah, exactly. Here's the other thing, though. I really do think that it might have the move from HBO Max to Max might be because of the writers' strike. I know that might sound a little crazy, but think about it this way. We just got Succession. Barry is also done. And what if there's no new shows? What if there are no new big popular HBO shows? HBO Max, all of a sudden, you start thinking about the failed, lineup. The fact that there's nothing new coming out.
I don't know.
Whereas if it's Max,
I mean,
that narrative goes away a little bit.
A rebrand, especially on that scale, takes years to do.
Yeah. So you're thinking too quick of a turnaround.
Too quick of a turnaround,
or it would have required too quick of a turnaround for the writer's strike to be the thing
to be the impetus to do that. Yeah. Because I mean, unless they saw the writing on the wall the last time the WGA signed a contract, however many years ago that was. The thing about it being Max is that it evokes too much of Cinemax, for me at least.
Oh, interesting.
Even though, like, that. I mean, everybody, but like you said, I really don't care what they call it. But I'm always going to refer to it as HBO. I'm never going to say, "Oh, that show's on Max."
Yeah,
that show's on HBO.
That show's on HBO. I mean, here's the thing: the HBO shows
TV.
Are going to be on HBO. Yeah.
It's Max.
It's not TV. If you're not wearing Dockers, you're not wearing pants. Was a joke that my sketch comedy group wanted to do. That was just shots of us from the waist down, just our dick and balls. Is that okay to say on our version? I mean,
sure.
Maybe it's swearing. Nobody wanted to do it though.
You don't say.
Which I understand. Yeah. But then if you're not wearing Dockers, so it's just us talking about our 401ks or whatever they were at the time.
Was it? I can't remember if it was Saturday Night Live or Almost Live. But do you remember the three-legged jeans?
Yeah, that was Saturday Night Live.
So that means
it's no dumber than acid wash, I think is what they.
So that means Almost Live did Bad Idea Jeans. Have you seen this sketch?
Oh,
It
I really remember it. They're
it's like
wearing it
one
and
of
they come up with something
Yeah, it's like one of
like,
those. It's a typical like Levi's commercial with these quick cuts and like the one bit I remember is one guy saying, "Yeah, we're gonna tear down this wall. We're gonna totally redo it." And the other guy says, "You're renting, right?" One guy's like, "Yeah, bad idea, jeans."
I feel like I want to. Are you saying that you knew that one of them was one and one of them was the
In
other? And
my
that's how you,
mind, I'm not gonna say I'm right, but in my
I
mind,
think they're
one was
both
SNL,
Saturday
one
Night
was
Live,
Almost Live.
but maybe not. I mean, Almost Live did have some things that were fun. The reason I remember Bad Idea Jeans was something that the person said. It has the line, and then I thought to myself, when's the next time I'm going to be back to Haiti?
It is Saturday Night
And
Live. This totally
yeah,
ruins the way I've actually see Almost Live now because that was solidly in my head. Like I can see like Steve Wilson and Ed Wyatt saying these things, but no, it's Kevin
yeah,
Nealon.
that's right. Oh, speaking about which, there's the Conan O'Brien has a podcast thing. For a while, they were doing the a table read of the Hans and Franz movie that they wrote for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think I might
Uh,
have mentioned this in the last podcast.
YouTube just keeps trying to serve me that video, but I haven't watched it yet.
The thing that I was noticing is that Kevin Nealon's on it, and to me, Kevin Nealon has remained the same age forever.
He looks
It's
good.
really odd.
He has he has a YouTube show called Hiking with Kevin,
Hmm.
and he has a couple episodes with Conan. You should watch them because they are hilarious. Kevin Nealon is a great like antagonistic straight man, and
That's a
just
good way.
gets
That's a good way to describe him.
yeah, just gets underneath Conan's skin in a hilarious way.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff that is how does one say it? Like he does bad jokes. He knows that they're bad and he does them anyway. That's one of the things that happens during
Yeah.
the table read, which is pretty fun. Hey, speaking about which is pretty fun, we have about 2 minutes left. Do you want to do this week in GudeLaurance history?
Yeah, why not? So Paul, I think it was just
to
last week.
answer your
when we did
question, I don't remember what we did last week.
Let's see if I can. Let's see. We've done, we did Star Rated Toilet. Oh, 5 Minute Bachelor Party was the last one we did.
That was what we did, yeah, last time.
Okay. So that was October 7th, 2005. November 4th, 2005. This was the so this is now a Paul gonna guess the bit.
Okay, cool.
It was the very first 60 seconds max. What did we do?
Oh man. I don't know. Was it a endurance thing for something like we held our breath for 60 seconds or we did? I want to say that we would have done something specific to the time.
We did not do an endurance thing unless you see that as something the audience had to endure.
Was it us? Were we doing a song?
It was a song, yes.
Was it a song that one might have seen in the film CB4?
Why, yes, indeed, Paul.
I do know what this is, and I've already said the word once, so I'll say it again.
Exactly.
It was us doing Sweat from My Balls.
Sweat from My Balls was our very first 60 Seconds Max performance.
And if I remember correctly, were we lip syncing or I think we did the actual song.
We sang it. I edited together the music.
That's right.
So we had a 60-second track, and we of course cut it down to just the 60 seconds.
Do you
we
remember
both sang it.
where we came up with that's what we should do?
I think that was all you, because I'd never even seen the movie before.
It was on a mixtape that Jennifer Pratt gave me. What was the year of this?
2005. This was just right like around your wedding.
Yeah, I think that she gave it to me. During our courtship, a CD that had "Sweat from My Balls" on it, which tells you all you need to know about Jennifer Pratt, Jennifer Fact Checker. Listen to some of the older episodes, and you can hear it. Hey, speaking of which, I think it's time for us to break. Either for the end of the second episode that we've recorded or the first of the beginning episode. Who knows? But Ben, here's what I would like to do. I'm going to sign off. How's it happening?
How's it happening?
Keep it wrong.
Keep it wrong.
And then I'm going to just talk, and you're going to talk to open up another. There's going to be silence on my end. So you'll know when you'll be able to visually see something about this. Who knows which episode we recorded first, everybody? I'm going to get something from upstairs. I'm going to come back down.
Okay.
And that's going to be part of a thing. So keep it wrong, Ben.
Keep it wrong, Paul.
I'm
still recording and we're still streaming. And so,
And so we're going to talk and we're going to see how what I say and what you say merge. I'm also going to get a glass of water. So I'll see you soon. And now here I am, and I'm talking. Oh, I just realized, Ben, my microphone isn't going to be picking up.
Yeah.
You're just going to be hearing me.
I'll be able to.
Fun.
So what I'll do is I'll just repeat everything you say.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going upstairs.
So I'm going upstairs.
I'm gonna pour myself a big glass of water.
A big glass of water.
Because I'm so thirsty. My name is Ben Lawrence.
My name is Ben Lawrence.
And I'm
thirsty.
That's right. I gotta have it.
I gotta have it.
Morning, noon, and night. You know me.
Morning, noon, and night. You know me.
There I am. Just waiting patiently for someone to give me a little bit of attention. That's why I wear these.
Dungarees.
And
my. Oh, now he's going out of range. I can't actually hear him now. This is interesting.
Oh no!
He's probably time. Oh, now I can.
Maybe I'm back.
But maybe I
should.
Just...
I was basically trying to describe Crocodile Dundee, and that you were being super Australian.
I was
for no reason.
I was. That was an interesting exercise because sometimes it did feel like I was speaking with you, and other times I was like totally playing catch up. But that's a fun little acting game there, Paul Goody.
Hey, Ben, let me ask you a question. Do you remember the Johnny Kaufman? I'm sorry. Hey, Ben. Hey, my name's Ben Lawrence. I'm still here.
Yeah.
And nobody can hear me.
I do remember. So Paul asked me if I remembered. I mean, the stream if you listen to the stream, you'll be able to hear you. But I do. Yes, I do remember John Kaufman. But what piece specifically are you talking about?
The phone thing, whatever it was.
Oh yeah, line 1. That's what it was called.
Line 1.
Yeah.
Jennifer, were you in line 1? Jennifer is up here. Jennifer nodded yes. She was in line 1.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what had to happen. Oh, Jennifer got a tattoo. Betty's name for line 1.
Oh yeah, there's an interesting story around that. When she got that tattoo, Stephen McCandless and I were recording an audio commentary track for an episode of Cherub, and Jennifer came in and showed us her new tattoo. So Jennifer showing us her new tattoo is on the Cherub DVD in audio form, on an audio commentary
You showing them, Ben and Stephen, your tattoo is in the audio commentary for an episode of Cherub. Jennifer. She shook her head yes.
She shook her head yes.
Yeah.
And was embarrassed.
She nodded yes.
There we go.
No. She's. I think she's listening to something on her headphones.
Ah.
Oh, she didn't want to talk. Nobody can hear. Nobody. Only Ben can hear me. All right, so I'm coming back.
Well, everybody on the stream too.
Hey. So Ben,
Hey, there he is.
are there people on the stream?
No.
It's time for a fun HIPAA violation. Can I actually violate HIPAA on myself? I don't think so. I have here, because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. So I'm going to for this episode of the podcast, Ben, and this will be annotated because you can make comments and such. This is my psychological evaluation.
How's it happening?
How's it happening? So I have the examiner is Stephen B. Adams. He's a psychologist, doctor of psychology. Reason for referral: Paul was evaluated to make diagnostic and treatment recommendations. He was referred to by a psychiatrist, Jessica Burrich, NP, to evaluate him for possible autism. Physician, Amy McClintock, MD. Date of examination, 4/21 and 5/2, both of 2003. Background information. Chief complaint. Current symptoms reported include social withdrawal, memory problems, temper outbursts, conflict avoidance, obsessive thoughts, compulsive behavior, anxiety, short attention span, avoiding crowds, diminished interest, and derealization. I don't know what derealization is. He reports compulsive checking and having to buy five items when he goes to the store. In the past year, he has been stressed by work instability. I don't talk about work here. An autism interview indicated that he talks about his interests too much, such as Game of Thrones. His wife is reported as saying, I don't talk about Game of Thrones as much anymore. I think he's referring to an anecdote. His wife is reported as saying that Paul has difficulty sharing his feelings. He prefers to stay at home and not be around others. At his job, Paul is a manager, but he seldom sees those he manages. Again, I don't talk about work. Due in part to his difficulties in understanding nonverbal communication. His eye contact is poor, and sometimes he stares at people. He has had to work at understanding jokes and sarcasm. When telling jokes, he gives too much information. It was a critique of, he asked me to tell him a joke. So there you go. He reports people can be dangerous as he was bullied as a child. He moves his fingers as a form of stimming. His strict adherence to routine was made worse when he took Adderall. I don't know if you remember that, but that is true. Paul is highly interested in Game of Thrones, Doctor Who, and he enjoys reading books on facts. Concerning sensory issues, he is easily irritated by the bass sound in music, normally when it's coming through a wall.
Yeah.
Tags on shirts, and feeling a wallet in his pocket. He dislikes shoes with laces. These are all true things. History of illness and treatment. No history of suicide attempts or psychiatric hospitalizations was reported. In the Air Force, Paul was diagnosed with schizotypal personality disorder, ADHD, and it says, and rule out autism spectrum disorder. I think that the ADHD, they're saying that they ruled out autism spectrum disorder. I don't know if that's exactly right. That might have been his interpretation of that. Emotionally disturbing experiences include a motor vehicle accident at age 16, corporal punishments, nearly drowning, and physical abuse from a sibling. He has been treated with Strattera, Adderall, Wellbutrin, and Ritalin. No history of psychotherapy was reported. I've had a little bit of psychotherapy, but I guess we didn't talk about it. Any questions so far, Ben?
How long was this interview?
The interview was probably about 2 hours.
Did you go in prepared with stories, or in the course of the interview did you remember? He
sort of got them from me.
Yeah.
Yes. Family history. Paul was born in Berwyn, Illinois, and raised in an intact family in Pontiac and Dorsey, Illinois. He is the youngest of 4 children. Paul was adopted as an infant. His adopted mother died in 1976, and his adopted father remarried in 1980. He reports having a friendly relationship with his father and stepmother. A history of alcohol abuse was reported in his biological family. Paul's been married for 17 years, and they have a 17-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with autism at age 12. Occupation. Paul is currently works as a software engineer. I suppose.
It's a blanket
I don't talk
term.
about work. Yeah. He previously worked on risk management, QA management, and technical writing. He prefers to work remotely. Working in person has been challenging. True. Education. Paul completed a bachelor's degree in general studies from the University of Missouri. That is correct. His illegible handwriting and classroom disruption affected his school performance. No specific education or retentions were reported. His college GPA was 2.7. Correct.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
very low.
Yeah.
I hardly ever went to class. Social. Paul did not have many close friends as a child. He now reports having 10 close friends. He described his best friend as his comedy partner. With his friends, he enjoys putting on shows and role-playing games. He also he used to be involved in the Annex Theater Group in Seattle. Activities are described as giving him structure.
Yeah.
I'm still involved, not as much because I'm not there, but
No, but like,
if I were, I would be.
totally.
Social. Paul did not have many close friends as a child. He now reports I already read that. Sorry. Legal. At age 16, he was arrested for shoplifting. At age 19, he was arrested for trespassing. He presented a valid Illinois driver's license. Military history. Paul served in the United States Air Force from February 1995 to March 1996. Over a year. He was a munitions systems specialist. He was given an honorable administrative discharge. Medical history. His medical history includes being taken to the hospital for a minor head wound at age 4, hospitalized for a high fever at age 8, a motor vehicle accident resulting in loss of consciousness at age 16. At age 10, he lost consciousness when he was choked by his adoptive sister. At age 12, he lost consciousness when held underwater, and he was told by the camp counselor not to tell anyone. True.
Yeah, I think I've heard
Later,
that
he
story.
had nightmares about nearly drowning, and he now avoids water, which is also true.
Yeah.
In the past year, he has lost 10 pounds. It's a diet thing. He walks for exercise. No tobacco use was reported. No tobacco use is used. Paul typically sleeps 7.5 hours a night, pretty much. His wife says he snores and gasps for air at night. He suspects he may have sleep apnea. No history of strokes or seizures were reported. And I've started to not run into that issue as much now that I've been losing the weight. Drugs and alcohol. His most recent use of alcohol was reported as 2005. That sounds about right. Jennifer asked to see me drink because I hadn't done it. So it was an experiment. We did it once, and that was it. I remember the next morning going, I'm really hungry for some reason. I want a sandwich. And she thought that was funny. No history of alcohol abuse was reported. No history of illicit drug use was reported. Behavioral observations and mental status. Paul is a Caucasian male who appears his stated age. He was oriented to person, place, time, and date. He was alert and responsive. Intermittent eye contact was made. The application's appearance was casual and clean. Normal gait was evident. Rapport was easily established. Mood was relaxed. Affect was consistent with conversation and facial expressions. Speech was clear and normally paced. 3 words were recalled after 5 minutes. That was a test. He said, I'm going to ask you to remember these 3 words. And I said, can I remember them however I want? And he said, yes. And I was like, ha, I'm going to cheat. He said, you can't write them down.
Write
I'm like,
them
I'm
down.
not. 5 digits were repeated forward and 5 digits were repeated backwards. On serial 7 task, I don't know what that means, the applicant worked at a moderate place and made 0 errors. The word world was spelled forward and backwards. 13 times 5 was correctly calculated without the use of paper. That's right.
Well done.
I believe it's 65. No hallucinations or delusions were apparent. No suicide or homicide ideation was apparent. Judgment is fair. Impulse control is variable. Paul appeared to give a reliable description of his past, present, of his past and present functioning. Basically saying I wasn't making stuff up. I was, pretty honest.
Yeah.
Test administered. Adult history form, clinical interview. Weschler, abbreviated scale of intelligence, second edition. Personality assessment inventory. Sentence completion test. Adult attention deficit disorder evaluation. Adult attention deficit disorder home evaluation or home version. Sorry. Gilliam autism rating scale, third edition. Here we go, Ben. Are you ready? This is me. This is my house. Okay. The Wechsler, however you say it, abbreviated scale of intelligence, second edition, is an individually administered test in intelligence for ages 6 to 90 years of age. This test this test provides composite scores that estimate the verbal and nonverbal levels of intelligence. The test also gives full-scale composite index score, which is an estimated of general cognitive ability. Personality assessment inventory, PAT, is a self-administered objective personality inventory for adults consisting of 344 items. Remember how the interview was about 2 hours? The test took me like 3, I think. It is a broad-based test was on a different day. Assessment of mental disorders with 22 scales, including 4 validity scales, 10 clinical scales, 5 treatment scales, and 2 interpersonal scales. Due to the PAI being normal on adults in a variety of clinical and community settings, normal and clinical populations can be compared. Reliability studies indicate that the PAI has a high degree of internal consistency across samples. Basically, the test tests itself. So if you're lying, it catches it, is the way to look at it. Validity studies demonstrate convergent and discriminate validity with more than 50 other measures of psychopathology. Sentence completion test is a semi-structured projective technique consisting of sentence stems that are completed by the subject to make complete sentences, such as love is blank. I think that people don't believe I can blank, that sort of. That's not here. That's me saying it. These responses are interpreted by, the subject is instructed to complete sentences to express their true feelings. These responses are interpreted by the examiner to provide possible indications of attitudes, beliefs, and motivations about the subject, others, and their social interactions. We're doing good, Ben. This is almost. I figured that it would be a good way to fill up a 2-hour block, and also this way I have the record of it in case I ever lose the piece of paper. The Adult Attention Deficit Disorder Evaluation Scale is an inventory which measures reported behaviors associated with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. It is used in part of a psychological evaluation to determine if ADHD is present and specific behaviors may be problematic. 10 subjects are compared to other adults of the same sex and similar age. The self version consists of 58 items completed by the examinee. It was standardized on 2,211 adults ages 18 to 71, ages 18 and 71. Very difficult. One of the tests, guy turned 72 like halfway through. They had to throw a score out.
These tests are too long. Scores,
exactly. It's too long. 72-year-olds don't talk that way. I mean, some might. Standard scores, quotients, and percentiles are provided by gender and age. The home version of this instrument was standardized in 2000 on 2003 adults, who are familiar with the examinee. This version of the ADDES is comprised of 46 items. And finally, the Gilliam Autism Rating Scale, third edition, GARS 3, it's also known as, is a norm referenced
Norm.
instrument that involves ratings of individuals ages 3 through 22 that may have
Or
autism.
3 and 22.
Yeah, exactly. 66. This test is composed of 58 items that have 6 subscales: restrictive, repetitive behavior, social interaction, social communication, emotional responses, cognitive style, and maladaptive speech. The GARS 5 can be used to help diagnose autism spectrum disorder, evaluate the severity of symptoms, document processes, target goals, and serve as a research tool. Strong reliability of this instrument was determined using internal consistency and inter-rater reliability methods. Validity was established using context, criterion, and construct methods. All right, here's the main event, Ben. The
We're
findings.
just getting started.
We're actually more than halfway done. Uh, so on the again, Wexler. I don't have my glasses, so I think that's what it is. Abbreviated Scale of Intelligence, second edition, WASI 2. Paul obtained a full scale IQ of 128. This places him within the superior range of overall intellectual ability and in the 97th percentile. So not a genius, Ben. Just keep that in mind. Uh, with a 95% confidence, his full scale IQ falls between 122 and 132. His verbal comprehension score is 130, very superior, and his perceptual reasoning his perceptual reasoning score is 117, high average. There were a couple of things that I couldn't complete. Like, I was like, I don't know what this is, and I made a guess, but I told them it was a guess. The following T scores were obtained in this administration of the WASI. And then there's something, I'm just going to read it. Block design, T score is 58. Vocabulary, T score is 80. Matrix reasoning, 62. And similarities, 59. Mean is 50. Standard deviation is 10. So vocabulary, far and away, the best thing that I did. Responses to personality assessment indicate that Paul attended attended appropriately. Like, I understood what was going on, I guess, and responded consistently to items of similar content. No significant indication of underreporting or overreporting psychological problems was indicated. Indications of possible mania were evident. When interviewed, mania was ruled out as he presented no manic episodes, elevated mood, or grandiosity. I mean, you know me well enough. I'm not really staying up 3 days straight or anything like that. The elevation might be better be explained by hyperactivity. Unusual perceptions were discussed. He does not appear to be having hallucinations or delusions. He does seem sensitive to others, possibly trying to discredit him. My enemies, Ben, like the
They
Illinois
must
Department of
perish.
Transportation. I've
Or
told
that
you about
guy
the
who
Illinois
works at the
Department of
Guild
Transportation.
45th.
Oh yeah, exactly. They changed one of the roads, Ben, which messed up my mind palace. I can't say that they did it on purpose, but they might have. All right, here we go. Here we go. Very close. Last page, Ben. Significant anxiety is evident in his overconcern about things he cannot control and difficulty relaxing. Impulsivity is evident in his tendency to take risks. Paul appears to view himself in a positive and uncritical manner. He appears very uncomfortable in social situations. I'm going to leave now, says Paul to the people that he's been spending time with. No temper outbursts or concerns about how. Oh, sorry. No significant indications of depression, suicide, ideation, substance abuse, extreme moodiness, temper outbursts, or concerns about health problems. True. My 50th checkup was good. I did that. My box was fine.
Great.
He does not seem motivated for psychological treatment at this time. That is also pretty much true. On the sentence completion test, Paul's responses suggested that he would like to improve his communication at work. When people, I don't talk about work, when people lie about him, he becomes angry. It's true. When others are having fun, he tries to join in if they are involved in a topic that interests him. That is also true. Paul is worried about supporting his family. True. I'm going to read this, but again, I don't talk about work. His boss is reported as thinking he is too honest. I sometimes oversharing and not saying like like if I were to say, for example, Sam doesn't like his job or whatever. Not that I do that, but you know what I mean. Like I say things at inappropriate times. At work, he has been.
One of the few proper pieces of education I got at Vulcan was actually how to talk to executives.
Yeah, see, I don't have that. So yeah, and other things like if I'm dealing with somebody from another company, not saying what our company is doing, secrets, trade secrets, things like that.
Right.
He seems to enjoy being married. True. Paul has never felt comfortable having sex. Okay. I read that out loud. So when asked about this, he reported becoming easily distracted while having sex. His social relationships are reported as his biggest concern. So look, everyone, if you've made it this far, that's a sentence that has happened. And okay. Both Paul and his wife noted significant concerns about inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. Concerning items included. This is a bullet list. We're so close to being done, Ben. I think this was the right choice, but totally making time for this. I don't know how bored you are. This is one of my problems. I see you sitting there not saying anything, but I'm doing a lot of talking, so you wouldn't be saying something. Is it okay? Is this all right? We're almost done. Am I bored? Is it okay?
We're committed at this point.
Okay. Okay, so the concerning items included easily distracted, difficulty with sustained listening, needs directions and questions repeated, poor communication, difficulty staying on task, short attention span, forgetful, difficulty waiting his turn, interrupts others. What do you think about that one?
Yeah,
seems right to me too. Okay, moves about while seated.
Knew it.
Restless. I had to. Difficulty. Moves about while seated. That's squirming in the chair. Restless. Difficulty staying seated. True. Handles objects excessively. Makes excessive noise. Nervous habits. Difficulty waiting. Blurts out answers inappropriately at work. Talks beyond what is expected. Ratings from his wife on the Gilliam Autism Scale 3rd edition indicate that Paul does things in a repetitive and ritualistic manner. He pays little attention to what his peers are doing. This is one of those things about how long it took me to find out what you did for a living, where you went to school, things like that. And Jennifer asked me one time, Ben's like one of your favorite people. I'm like, that's right. How many siblings does he have? He has a sister. I know. What did he study in college? Now I know. It's theater. Middle name is David? Is that right? Hey, it took me a long time. And both of our grandpas were named Irwin, which is something.
Yeah.
I don't know if we spell it the same way. Okay, so all right. He has difficulty understanding slang expressions. Paul has difficulty understanding why others might dislike him. He has difficulty understanding that others have thoughts and feelings that are different than his. All of this is true. When things are changed or go wrong, he requires an excessive amount of reassurance. If his routines are changed, he becomes upset. True. A single subject is talked about excessively. Also true. On certain topics, Paul demonstrates a high level of interest and knowledge. His voice is sometimes abnormal in tone and volume. All these things are true. And then here we go. Diagnosis.
Murder.
F42.2. I'm guessing this is from the DSM or DSM-5. Obsessive compulsive disorder. F84.0, autism spectrum disorder without accompanying intellectual impairment. F90.2, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, combined presentation. Recommendations: medical management of his ADHD and OCD symptoms is recommended. So there's that. Educational information on ADHD can be found at chad.org. A credible book on this subject is Taking Charge of Adult ADHD by Russell Barkley. Further information about autism can be obtained, and then it talks about an organization that people talk about when they talk about autism that some people in the autism community don't like.
Yeah.
And then individual psychotherapy is recommended to manage his OCD symptoms and work on social skills. So there we go. That is my psychological evaluation. Took about a half hour to read through. And Ben, thank you for being patient all the way through. Is there something you would like to talk about for a half hour now?
No, I didn't actually. I don't have a psych evaluation to present. Was Jennifer interviewed along with you? Did she have her own interview?
She was not interviewed in person. They gave us forms for her to fill out.
Oh, gotcha.
I gotta say, Ben, very beautiful mind type thing. Because I would talk to them about my wife Jennifer, and I'd be like, "Oh, she can't make it. I'll have her fill out the form." And then I was like, she was playing video games, and so I wrote down her answers, which is true. And then just now I was upstairs talking, to her, and she didn't want to talk in the podcast, so she was just nodding and things like that. And I was like, "You've met Jennifer. She is a real person. She's there, right?" I mean, that's...
Well, but to anybody who's tuned in, maybe they don't think she exists. Maybe she's just a figment of your wild imagination.
It is possible. But, I do also have... Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Complete your thought.
Oh, I was going to say, I do also have an imaginary friend. So, those two things, one could lead to the other.
Speaking of our grandfathers who have the name Irwin,
is yours Erwin?
Yeah.
Irwin? Yeah,
Erwin. Good old Erwin Lawrence. Erwin Lawrence wrote a book of short stories based on his experiences, and I am currently formatting that for publication through Amazon's what used to be called CreateSpace, now it's called Kindle Direct Publishing. Yeah. However, going back to you being arrested for trespassing. My grandfather tells this story of when he was a kid. I don't remember how old he was, but he was dared by his friend to climb up to the catwalk on a water tower. And while he was up there, the local sheriff came and demanded he get down. And that was when Grandpa looked down and saw how high he was. And I mean, he says in this short story, it's probably exaggerated, but he says it took him like 3 hours to come down because he was just so frightened of the height.
Yeah,
like, hey,
I mean,
my friend Paul Goody did that.
yeah, it's very similar indeed. And the big thing about that situation is that you sitting in a chair, sitting in a chair, thinking about being afraid of heights, right? And watching someone on TV being afraid of heights or whatever, that's one thing. When you are actually up somewhere high, it's really funny. Like, I remember not so much climbing to the top of the building, but being at the Gorge Verdun on the bridge, jumping off with the bungee cord. like you want to go. You want to go. You're like, okay, let's go. Your body will not do it. You have to
Yeah.
override.
Some
It's
sort
the
of like
weirdest.
preservation thing.
Yep. It's the weirdest thing. Your body's like, nope, not
I
doing it.
do.
No,
I
no thanks.
um. There's a joke. I can't remember who said it, but I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm afraid of falling. I
Hmm.
do feel like I would be afraid of heights, but I have not been put in that position where I've had to feel that. Like, but
What's the highest ladder you've ever been up on?
when I watch video of people who like climb like radio towers or whatnot, my hands
Hmm.
do get sweaty. I don't
Interesting.
like. There was we were doing strike for the Cowgirl play, and you remember this space, Paul. It's the Freehold Theater where we did Spin the Bottle for so many years.
Yeah,
You
we
know
talked about Freehold theaters where 5 Minute Bachelor Party
exactly.
happened.
You know how high that grid is, right? I can't. It's like what this might be like 25. So it was like 55 feet or something up in
Yeah,
the air.
it's high up there. It's pretty high
Yeah.
up there.
So when we were striking, I was asked to get up on this ladder to take an instrument down, and this was one of those wooden ladders where it had a regular ladder shape, and then another ladder that went straight up from the middle, right? And the only way that you could reach this instrument was you had to climb to the very top of the very top of the ladder and straddle the top rung, right? So you're
No,
holding on to the
Ben.
grid and you have to undo the instrument and then pass it down. I refused. I could not do it. I'm like, I can't
Yeah,
do that. And so
you
somebody else
should.
had to do it.
I mean, this is one of those OSHA violation things of you should not have had to do that.
Right.
I will say this. You know how I say I don't talk about work. I will talk for a brief moment when I was working the electrical field, the low voltage electrical field.
Right.
There were certain times where you had to get something done. And so what you would do is there was a guy from Ukraine who we were working with, and what you would do is you would say, "Boy, I really need to have this happen." And then you'd leave the room and you'd come back and it was done. And
It's nice
and
to have those
no,
kinds of people around.
you wouldn't you but the big thing is that you had to leave the room because you couldn't see how he was doing it, because if you saw how he was doing it you would be mandated to report how he was doing it.
Ah, I copy.
like
So,
like as an example, I'll just give you one brief example of something that could possibly happen. A person uh gets in one of those lifts, one of those mechanical lifts, and also then puts a ladder on the lift and walks up the ladder that's on the lift. Very,
every
very not to be done.
yeah, there's a subreddit. I can't remember what it's called, but it's stuff like that where you see like ladders on top of ledges and crap like that.
Oh man, I
Um,
would love that subreddit.
I think
Uh,
it's just our OSHA.
I believe it.
uh,
There's one thing that I always have to mention when this happens, but the lifts, right? The kind that have the mechanical wheels and the we talked about at one point in time. I was on one of those.
these like
Beep,
the
beep,
scissor
beep, beep,
lifts
and
and not like the
yeah,
booms.
scissor lift, right?
Yeah,
You are never supposed to drive one of those when it's in its extended mode
right.
because it can tip over. You are absolutely never supposed to drive one of those when it's in extended mode and you have drywall, a sheet of
On the
drywall
thing.
on the thing,
Yeah,
because it makes a sail
yeah.
and you blow straight over.
There's
It's pretty crazy how often it happens still.
they built a new convention center down here on Pike and Boren, between Boren and Ninth on Pike Street. And there's a plaque. I just noticed it the other day as I was walking past. It's the a dedication plaque, and I recalled that there was a worker who I don't remember if he fell or if the lift tipped over, but a worker died while they were constructing it because he was on a lift and something terrible happened. So there's it's this tiny like a 8.5 by 11 size, metal plaque that's kind of hidden in the bushes, to be honest. But yeah, I just noticed that the other day. While you were reading, or I should just say, in the first half of today's show, Drunk visited us, but I didn't want to bring the proceedings to a halt. He said Paul's ability to look like a completely different person every podcast is Clark Kent like.
Yeah.
And I replied, he cuts his own hair. And Drunk says that must be it. He also said, I guess Drunk is a time traveler because he says, just got back from the year 3042. This podcast is studied in 7th grade social studies.
Hey, that's what I like to hear. This is exactly. I mean, Drunk listens enough to know that's exactly what this podcast is. This podcast is about, life in the early 21st century by two
regular dudes, two regular white guys,
two regular white guys living in the early part of the 21st century. How would anyone ever get audio for that if not for this podcast?
Regular privileged white dudes.
Yeah. There's privilege, and then there's
and then he
privilege.
Bounced after 5 minutes.
And
we're not rich or anything, but we do have that. But we're not rich or anything,
but we've got some things going for us, is what I would say. In the way that society has been trained to respond to people who look like us. Although I have to say that I am somewhat of a weirdo and get pegged sometimes, but I think I believe that is more mannerism and my choice of style than anything else. I'm of course, Ben, this is the reason why I thought of it when I was like, privileged, yes, but also I almost got kicked out of the office park while waiting for you that one time. Do you remember that?
Back when we worked next to each other downtown?
Yep. And I got somebody
was it a security guard from my building?
Security guard from your building telling me that this is a private office park. And I said, I know, I'm just waiting for a friend. Also, I work over there. And she was like, yeah, I don't know. And it was because, and this is why I'm saying that it's my own fault.
Were you wearing the jumpsuit at the time?
I was not. I was wearing the parka and the sock gloves. I don't know if you remember that, but for a little while, I figured out that if you take a pair of socks and you cut holes in the toe on this side and on this side, and then one over here, you can put it, and they work like fingerless gloves. So I looked like
remember the sock gloves.
An unhoused person, right. And that was her determination as to that was what I was doing.
I sort of stepped in it recently, inadvertently. I was talking to a bunch of people, and we were the same sort of conversation, about sort of around like not privilege, but being in a crowd and getting into some place because you look like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Right. And I just offhand mentioned that I can't remember where I was, but I'm like, yeah, I look just like everybody else. If I walk with purpose and I look like I know where I'm going, nobody bothers me. I just kind of blend into the background. I disappear, and everybody's like, yeah, that's just because you're a white dude.
Well, and this is the thing that I would say. I am a weirdo, but I am also a white dude weirdo. Yeah. And I have gotten away with doing, even though I maybe get hassled every once in a while and things like that, I've gotten away with doing stuff that, especially when I was younger, that if I was not a white dude, could have gotten me killed easily.
Yeah.
That is for sure. So,
when I was a teenager, my friend and I were messing around in the parking lot of the movie theater in downtown Lacey after movie, just like goofing off because teenagers are stupid. and I had my driver's license at the time. And so we would do this thing where my friend would stand on the back of my car on the bumper, and I would drive around the parking lot. Extremely dangerous. Don't do that, kids.
Yeah.
But there was a cop saw us and like gave us crap for like 15 minutes, and ultimately no other consequences. Right? He just left after making us sweat for a bit. But I'm like, you know what? If we were not if we were not two white dudes, this could have turned into like a thing.
Yeah, like I remember I was in this is back with my friend Jeff. Jeff who Jeff Soul.
Just been on the podcast.
We sat in a car in a field, and a police officer came up to us and was
Smoking
like,
dope?
"What are you
No.
doing here?" And no,
Yeah.
no. And we really were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, what are you doing here?" Asked us questions, and was like, "All right, well, put your seatbelts on and get out of here." And I said, "Actually, we are wearing our seatbelts. There aren't any shoulder belts in this car because it was manufactured in the 19th." And Jeff was like, "Will you not talk?
Right.
Stop." That sort of thing. So, yeah, mouthy.
Too
Not
much
on
information.
purpose necessarily, but yeah, too much information. Uses too much information when telling jokes.
I want to know the joke you told.
Okay, so he had me retell a joke that he told me. So I will retell Ben. I will retell the joke. This is his joke that I'm redoing. There's a guy, and I'm thinking about it. I'm making it shorter than I did because I can't do it the way that I did it, because then I'll be playing it up. Actually, this is actually me talking too much while doing so it still works. There was a guy, and he went to a pet store, and he was going to get a parrot, and the pet store guy is like, "Okay, now look, I got to tell you, this parrot was owned by a guy who swears all the time, and the parrot is going to be swearing." And the guy's like, "That's okay. I was in the military, and I've owned parrots before. No problem whatsoever. I got it. I know how to get this parrot to straighten up and fly right." So the parrot's over in the house, and he starts swearing one day. And the guy says, "All right, that's it for you, bird." He grabs him from his perch and shoves him in the freezer. And he stands there, shoves him in the freezer for about 5 minutes, and he takes him out, and he says, "Do you know what you did?" And the parrot says, "Are you going to do it again? Do you have any questions?"
Parrot shakes his head.
And then, thanks, Ben. Sorry about that. Visual humor for the podcast. And then puts him back on. And everything's great for a month. No problems whatsoever. He's sweet as pie. I'll probably want a cracker, that sort of things. But then again, he swears. And the guy takes him, he puts him in the freezer for an hour. Takes the bird out, says, "Do you know what you did?" Bird says,
Bird nods its head.
"Are you going to do it again?"
Shakes his head.
"Any questions?"
Shakes his head.
Says, "Okay, we're good." Puts him back on the perch. Everything's great, sweet as pie for a year. And then one day out of nowhere, there's a string of expletives, and it goes on for 5 minutes. And the guy looks at the bird and he's like, "All right," takes him, shoves him in the freezer, keeps him there for 24 hours, takes him out. The bird's got icicles running off of its beak. And he says, "Do you know what you did?" Parrot's like,
Nods its head.
"Are you going to do it again?" Parrot goes,
Shakes his head.
"Any questions?" And the parrot says, "Yeah, what'd that turkey do?" So that was me doing my best to try to tell the joke straight. I might have gone off on tangents when I was telling the joke to him. Um, the fact that the guy was in the military, I think that was something I added. And then I almost talked to him about the guy that we met that one time who said that he would tell us a $1 joke, a $2 joke, or a $3
Right.
joke.
Yeah.
And and the and we gave him $2. That was the thing. He said a $1 joke or a $5 joke, and we had $2, so we gave him $2.
Yeah.
That was what it was. And and the joke was, if I remember correctly, the one of the dog who is pleasuring itself, and the guy says, "I wish I could do
Wish
that."
I could do that.
And the other guy said, "You probably have to pet him first." Uh, but and for the $2 joke, it was two Irishmen were leaving a bar to go to their motorcycles, and and I said, "Okay, what if it had been a $1 joke?" And he said, "Oh, then it would just be two guys left a bar." And I said, "What if it was a $5 joke?" He's like, "Well, they would have had names and like a whole inner life thing."
Yeah.
And and I liked that. And I really respect it.
The
But I
I mean,
didn't tell the psychologist about it.
that reminds me of the way Norm Macdonald would tell jokes, especially on like Late Night with Conan, and like
Oh
the whole
yeah,
moth joke is legendary.
yeah. He's really yeah. He was an interesting guy. Canadian
Yeah,
Norm Macdonald was,
don't you know?
and yet more right wing than you would necessarily expect or want a Canadian to be
Really, I didn't know
in
that
some
part.
ways. Well, this is the thing. Again, was he right wing? I don't know. I'm just saying he was more right wing than you'd want a Canadian to be.
Well,
That's
I
all.
mean that's the thing. Was he considered right wing? But now that the right wing has shifted so far, would he be centrist?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, what exactly are these? We talk about this sometimes, Ben. I
Like
think.
he's not Jay Johnston level right wing.
Yeah. Oh, poor Jay Johnston. And I mean that. I mean that specifically. I mean we are we are living through the effects of massive psychological experimentation. I had said at one point in time that computers and hypnosis at one time occupied the same space in the funny pages. Learn hypnosis with this book, or buy a Tandy 1000 computer. Both of those things, same amount of space, maybe even same costs in some ways. But then computers took off. This is what I said at one point in time years ago. Computers took off, and hypnosis didn't. Incorrect. Our media landscape is all hypnosis. It's all about that stuff. And
We do get hypnotized by the TV for hours at a time.
yep, for hours at a time, and also it can change our opinions. This has been proven. When I
Yes,
was in the
indeed.
Mechanical Turk, I actually took part in an experiment about whether or not reading stories about people cheating made you less likely to give someone money. And the answer is yes.
Hmm,
Uh, if you read stories about people who are liars, you are less trustworthy of people.
of
All
course.
these things. Part of the reason why I don't stay on Reddit for that long, if I can help it, because I love it, Ben. I'll stay on it. We've talked about this before. I'll stay on it forever. Ooh, here's my next thing. Oh, here's my next thing, and it doesn't stop.
There was a boycott on Monday and Tuesday. It's not a boycott. There was a blackout on certain subreddits on Monday and Tuesday protesting the recent API changes.
Hmm.
Meaning that,
Third
if I
party
understand
things.
correctly, third party thing. So Reddit is now going to be charging for access to their API, which means a popular Reddit apps like Apollo, it's going to cost them if they stay, with it, and they're not going to, like $20 million a year to stay operational.
Wow.
And so Though a lot of people think this is concerning an upcoming Reddit IPO,
Makes
and
sense.
there are a lot of communities are protesting this and saying that is going to become the death of Reddit. So you may no longer have to practice that self control. It may go away on its own.
Yeah, or end up, being bad.
Just
I
like
thought about
everything.
something about really rich people, right? And when a really rich person does something that loses them money, but then later on they do something that makes them money, the problem that they experience of losing money and then making money and all that, um, is there a way that you can be rich enough that losing money doesn't hurt you at all and it's just a thing that happens? I think it's
Yeah,
possible.
I think there's a level for that. I
There
mean,
was
there was a like I can't remember if it was Zuckerberg or Bezos, but there was a story like I think this is even during the pandemic where like I think it was Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook lost so much valuation at some point. Mark Zuckerberg in a day lost like a value of like $10 billion, and I'm like, it's probably not
yeah.
even going to hurt him. He's not going to
There was
notice.
in the on the flip side, there was a thing that I read recently that really struck me, and I don't know who wrote it, but it was nice. Which is that they say the post office is still in operation even though it loses, something like $10 billion a year. They said some
Yeah,
outrageous amount, and someone else wrote, the post office is a service. You're not
yeah.
losing money on it, you're paying for it,
It
which I
costs
liked a
money.
lot. Yeah, oh,
Following
that
that
it
up,
costs money. That was it.
I saw that it
You
was
saw
like a
that.
random tweet, and they followed it up with nobody ever says the U.S. military loses $40 billion a year.
Some people do. And it's a true thing. Um, oh, this military should be for profit. Specifically, Ben, and this is what I was making a joke kind of, but it's totally true. People talk about the VA, how the VA doesn't turn a profit. No, it can't. We don't. This is just me saying, we need to treat our veterans better, everybody.
Yeah, the
You don't
the
lose.
government does a lot of things much better than the free market would.
You don't lose money by taking care of people. You make an investment in those people. And hey, what a great way to be moving on to the very final segment. Again, this we're doing it, Ben, this week in Goody Lawrence history, doing another one. And let me see if I can remember the last one we did. I think the last one we did might have been, oh, I'm blanking. Was it 5 Minute Bachelor Party? Might have been something else. I'm trying to determine, Ben, if we should do the one after 5 Minute Bachelor Party or if we should do something else. And I think you know why I'm wondering.
I do know this.
Let's do what came after 5 Minute Bachelor Party.
Well, let me see if you can remember. This is going to be a Paul gonna guess the
Okay.
Goody Lawrence piece. This was what we did during the very first 60 seconds max.
Okay. Very first 60-second max. Did it have anything to do with like an endurance feat, like holding our breath or something like that? Because I feel like we would have done something kind of based on the 60 seconds aspect of it.
Um, it was probably an endurance for the audience to watch it, but it wasn't an endurance
Uh,
test for us.
okay, wait. All right, so let me think. Was it was it musical in nature?
It was musical in nature.
Okay. And was it, we were performing music,
Yes.
and was it by any chance part of a song that you would perhaps be able to hear in the movie CB4?
Why, yes, it was a song that you could hear in the movie CB4.
Well, Ben, then I know what it is. It is Sweat from My Balls.
Sweat from my balls. Yes, we did a one
Uh,
minute version of that song.
Now, let me. Were we lip syncing or were we actually performing the song?
No, we sang it. I edited together a 1 minute segment of the music, and we used that as a backing track, and we sang over it. We rapped over it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. So, do you remember how we came to be doing that song?
I think it was your idea because I'd never even heard of this movie up until this point.
Yeah, that song, we were I think we were listening to it together at one point in time. We were like, we should do that. It was on a mixtape that Jennifer Pratt gave me. I'm trying to remember when did this take place? When
Yeah,
did this?
so this was November 4th, 2005. So right around your wedding time.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that would have been um oh, actually, because we got married on October 9th, so this is right after our wedding time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my yeah, she while we were courting, she gave me a mixtape with that on it. So
Sweat from
very
my
cool.
balls. For the
Awesome.
ladies, 130 pounds of
Yeah.
beef, yeah. And I'm not gonna sing
Yeah, I
anymore.
don't remember. Um so hey, well Ben, thanks for that. And what a
Yeah.
great way to end the show. And
Indeed.
I guess oh hey, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to keep talking after we end this. I'm going to start talking to you and we're going to keep going. I'm going to while we do this, I'm going to pretend like I'm calling you. I'm going to mention that I'm calling you, and then you'll pick up, and that way, because okay, I should tell the people this is a double episode, and we're not really sure which one we're going to do. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then I'm going to pretend like I'm calling you, so that
Okay.
people won't know which one we're doing first.
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So let me just say, oh, how's it happening, Ben?
How,
And
and
keep it
keep it raw.
wrong.
A very good
Yeah.
keep it wrong to you, sir.
All right. So now I'm going to keep talking, but then we're gonna start over, or we won't. We'll see. That was great. Can't believe it.